Welcome to Sri Chakradhar Education. Every year, thousands of IGNOU project reports are returned without being read, not because the research was weak, but because one small document was never approved first: the synopsis. So here is your direct answer right at the start. An IGNOU synopsis is the short, formal research proposal you must submit and get approved before you are allowed to begin your project work. It states your title, your rationale, your objectives, your methodology, and your plan. And it travels with two other documents: the Proforma for approval and your guide's signed biodata. Only after IGNOU approves it may you start the report. I am BK Sani, founder of IGNOUproject.com, guiding IGNOU students since 2010. In this video, you get the complete IGNOU synopsis system: what it is, the exact sections, how long it should be, where it goes, how approval really works, why proposals get rejected, and how to clear it in the first attempt. Two warnings before we begin. First, there is no single universal IGNOU synopsis format or length that fits every program. Second, your guide signature is not your approval. Both of these mistakes cost students an entire session, and we will settle both with the official rules. Section 1. What an IGNOU synopsis actually is. In IGNOU language, the word synopsis means the same thing as project proposal. The official guidelines use both words for the same document. It is a short written plan, a description of what you propose to study and how you intend to go about it. Now understand clearly what it is not. It is not an abstract. An abstract summarizes work already finished. A synopsis proposes work not yet done. It is not the project report. That is the long, final document you submit later for evaluation. And it is not a topic. A topic is one line. A synopsis is a complete research plan built around that line. The synopsis has exactly one job. It must convince an IGNOU evaluator that your study is relevant to your program, original, feasible in the time you have, and correctly designed. If it does that, you receive an approval letter. If it does not, you receive a non-approval with comments. Almost every IGNOU program that carries a project uses this system: management and commerce, psychology, social work, library science, education, the MSc programs, BCA and MCA, tourism, rural development, and dozens of diplomas. The course code changes, the rules shift a little, but the synopsis first principle never changes. Section 2. The synopsis package: 3 documents, not one. Here is the mistake almost every first-timer makes. They post the synopsis alone. A synopsis submitted by itself is an incomplete proposal, and an incomplete proposal is rejected before anyone reads a word of your research. 3 documents must travel together. 1. The Proforma for approval of the project proposal. 2. The synopsis itself. 3. The biodata of your guide. The Proforma is the official printed form from your program's project guidelines. Every entry must be filled: enrollment number, regional center, subject area, topic, guide's name and address, and whether the guide is an IGNOU academic counselor. It carries the signature of both you and your guide, with dates. The official wording is blunt. An approval proforma that is incomplete in any respect will be summarily rejected. The guide's biodata must be signed in original by the guide and dated. The management project guidelines state it plainly. If the complete signed biodata of the supervisor is not enclosed, the proposal will not be entertained. A photocopied or unsigned biodata is treated as no biodata at all. Some programs add a 4th item: a certificate of originality, a guide's consent letter, a self-addressed stamped envelope, or a copy of your identity card. Read your own project guidelines and enclose whatever it lists. Never assume, and keep a full photocopy of everything you send. Section 3. How long should an IGNOU synopsis be? Search this question online and you will be told everywhere that an IGNOU synopsis is 1,000 words, roughly 10 to 14 pages. That number is repeated on hundreds of sites, and it is not a universal IGNOU rule. It is one style of guidance, taken mostly from management-type programs and copied blindly ever since. Look at what the official documents actually say, program by program. The BCA project guidelines ask for a synopsis of 12 to 15 pages. The MCA guidelines ask for 15 to 20 pages with a defined technical structure. The MA Psychology Handbook recommends 15 to 20 typed pages at 1.5 line spacing. The BA Honours Psychology dissertation caps its proposal at about 1,000 words, 3 to 4 pages only. 4 programs, 4 different answers. So the safe rule is simple, and it is the rule that keeps you approved. The only length that counts is the one printed in your own program's project guidelines document. Download it from ignou.ac.in or take it from your program guide and follow that number exactly. O simpinanine. A synopsis that is far too short looks unplanned. One that is far too long looks unfocused. Both invite comments. What is common across programs is the physical standard. A4 paper, typed, 1.5 or double spacing, and the signatures of both student and guide on the synopsis itself. Section 4. The anatomy of an IGNOU synopsis. A strong IGNOU synopsis is built from 9 sections. Some programs rename them, some merge too. And technical programs like MCA add their own. But this is the skeleton the evaluator is looking for. Title of the project, introduction and background, rationale of the study, review of literature, objectives, hypotheses or research questions, research methodology, scope and limitations, and finally the chapter scheme with references. Let us take them one by one. 1. The title. Keep it concise and make it say clearly what is being studied, on whom, and where. A good title names the variable, the population, and the location. And remember this now because it returns later. The title you get approved is the title your final report must carry. 2. Introduction and background. Give a brief background of the subject you have chosen. Set the context in 2 or 3 tight paragraphs. What the area is, why it matters right now, and where your study sits inside it. This is context, not a textbook chapter. 3. Rationale, sometimes called the statement of the problem. This section answers one question. Why this particular topic? Name the gap. Show what is not yet known or not yet studied in your setting, and explain who benefits when it is. A weak rationale is the quietest reason synopses come back with comments. 4. Review of literature. Summarize 5 to 10 relevant studies, reports or articles in your own words, and end by naming the gap your study fills. Cite everything properly, usually in APA style. This is not a copy-paste of abstracts. Evaluators recognize lifted text instantly. 5. Objectives. The official management guidelines call this the most important aspect of any project. And they are right. Your objectives must state clearly and precisely what you hope to know or achieve at the end of the study. Everything downstream, your methodology, your analysis, your chapters, even your Viva questions, is judged against these lines. Write 3 to 5 objectives, no more. Begin each with an action verb. To examine, to assess, to compare, to identify. Make each one specific and measurable. Keep every objective inside the boundary of your title, and make sure your method can actually answer it. Here is the difference in practice. A weak objective reads, to study the problems of employees. Nobody can measure that. A strong objective reads, to assess the level of job satisfaction among staff nurses in 3 private hospitals in Delhi. Same effort to write. Completely different outcome. Section 5. Methodology and a worked example. 6. Hypotheses or research questions. If your study is quantitative and you will test relationships, state your hypotheses. A null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis for each relationship. If your study is qualitative or descriptive, state research questions instead. Some programs do not require this section at all. Follow your guidelines. 7. Research methodology. This is the section evaluators read most carefully because it tells them whether your plan is actually doable. Vague methodology is one of the fastest routes to a non-approval. A complete methodology answers 6 questions. What is your research design? Descriptive, exploratory, analytical, or a case study? Who is your universe or population? What is your sample size and by which sampling technique? What tools will you use? Questionnaire, interview schedule, observation, or a standardized scale? What data will you use, primary, secondary, or both, and from where? And how will you analyze it? Percentages, tables, charts, or statistical tests? 8. Scope and limitations. State the boundary of your study, the area, the period, the group. Then state its honest limits, a small sample, one city, self-reported data. Naming your limitations does not weaken your synopsis. It signals research maturity, and evaluators reward it. 9. Chapter scheme and references. List the chapters your report will contain, in order with one line each. Then close with your references in a consistent style, usually APA. The full page setup and chapter structure of the report itself is taught in our IGNOU project format video, linked below. Now let us put all 9 together in one short worked example, so the shape becomes concrete. Take a Master of Social Work student. The title, A Study on the Rehabilitation Needs of Elderly Residents in Registered Old Age Homes in Delhi. Notice it names the variable, the population, and the location, and it is specific enough to defend. The objectives, 4 of them. To examine the socioeconomic profile of elderly residents in selected old age homes, to identify their physical, psychological, and social rehabilitation needs, to assess the support services currently provided by these institutions, and to suggest a social work intervention framework based on the findings. The methodology, a descriptive research design. The universe is elderly residents of registered old age homes in Delhi. The sample is 60 residents across 4 homes, selected by purposive sampling. The tools are a structured interview schedule and an observation checklist, primary data from residents and caregivers, secondary data from institutional records and government reports, analysis through percentages, frequency tables, and simple charts. Read that back and you can see why it would clear approval. The topic is relevant to the program. The objectives are measurable. The sample is realistic for one student in one session. And the method can actually answer every objective. That is the entire test. Section 6. Approval. How it really works. Now the second myth, and this one is expensive. Your guide signs the synopsis. You feel finished, but a guide signature is not approval. The guide signature only makes your proposal eligible to be considered. The actual approval decision is taken by a university evaluator or the faculty of your school, at the regional center or at headquarters. And a synopsis can still be rejected on academic grounds after your guide has happily signed it. Where the package goes depends on your program. For most ODL programs, it goes to the regional director of your regional center. For some programs, it goes to the concerned school or program coordinator. Students in online programs usually upload the synopsis through the LMS portal, and several regional centers now accept a soft copy by email with a fixed file naming rule. For example, your enrollment number followed by the course code. Your project guidelines name your exact authority. Never copy an address from a random website. How long does approval take? The computer program regional centers commonly quote 4 to 6 weeks after the proposal reaches the regional center. For many other programs, the written communication of approval or non-approval reaches the learner within roughly 2 to 3 months. Plan for 1 to 3 months and submit early. Verify the current timeline for your program on ignou.ac.in. Some programs run a slot system. In BCA, for instance, if you submit in one slot and the proposal is not approved, you become eligible to resubmit only in the next slot, which can push you a full cycle. That is the practical cost of a careless synopsis. Not a scolding, but 6 months. Approval also has a shelf life. In the computer programs, an approved project proposal is valid for 1 year. That is 2 slots. If you still do not submit your report inside that window, a fresh synopsis approval is required. Approval is not permanent. Use it. And the golden rule that sits above everything: no project work before approval. Do not collect data. Do not write chapters. Do not print. Do not bind until the approval reaches you in writing. Students who start early and get a different title approved lose the whole draft. If your synopsis is not approved, do not panic. And do not start from zero. The evaluator's comments are free expert feedback. Revise exactly on those comments and resubmit with a fresh proforma, the revised synopsis, the guide's biodata, and, this is the step people forget, a copy of the earlier synopsis and the non-approval proforma. 2 more rules that catch people. If you change your guide, for any reason, you must submit the proposal again on a new proforma with the new guide signature. It is treated as a completely new proposal, and if you change your topic, the same thing applies. Then the title lock. The final project report must be on the title approved by the evaluator. No change is permitted while submitting the final report. Your approved synopsis is not a suggestion, it is a contract. To track your synopsis, use the official project status page on the IGNOU website with your enrollment number and program, or write to the project section at projects@ignou.ac.in. Allow the full processing window before you follow up. Section 7. Why synopses get rejected and how to clear yours first time. Across programs, non-approvals cluster around the same 10 mistakes. An incomplete or unsigned proforma, missing or unsigned guide biodata, a guide who does not meet the program's eligibility norms, a topic that is too broad or too vague to research, a topic outside your program or specialization, objectives that cannot be measured, a methodology with no sample, no tool, and no plan, copied content, and copied synopses go to the Unfair Means Committee, ignoring the prescribed length or format, and submitting outside the slot or window. Look closely at that list and something becomes obvious. The 3 most common rejections: an incomplete proforma, a missing signed biodata, and objectives nobody can measure. Have nothing to do with intelligence or subject knowledge. They are paperwork and precision, which means most rejections are entirely preventable in an afternoon. So here are the 7 habits of a synopsis that clears in the first attempt. Download and read your own program's project guidelines, cover to cover, before you write a single word. Choose a narrow, local, doable topic. 1 city, 1 institution, 1 group. Fix your guide early and confirm they meet the eligibility norms. Write 3 to 5 measurable objectives and build the method to match them. Write every line yourself and cite every source. Get the proforma and the biodata signed and dated in original. And submit early in the window, keeping a full copy for yourself. One of those habits deserves a moment of its own. Narrowing the topic. Students often reach for a grand title believing scale impresses the evaluator. It does the opposite. A study of the entire banking sector of India cannot be done by one distance learner in one session, and the evaluator knows it. A study of digital payment adoption among small retailers in one district can. Feasibility is what gets approved, not ambition. Is all of this effort really worth it for a document that carries no marks of its own? Consider what the synopsis actually buys you. It buys expert feedback on your research design before you waste months on it. It buys a locked, defensible title. It buys a written plan you can hand to your guide. And it protects the one thing you cannot buy back: your session. A week spent on the synopsis routinely saves 6 months. Does a good synopsis affect your marks? Indirectly and strongly. The synopsis itself carries no marks. The report and the Viva do. But your report is evaluated against your approved objectives, and your Viva questions come straight out of your rationale, your method and your findings. A sharp synopsis produces a sharp report and a calm Viva. A vague one guarantees a painful defense. Can you write it yourself without paying anyone? Yes. And you should. A synopsis is 8 to 20 pages of structured thinking, not a work of genius. If you can define a topic, list 4 objectives, and explain how you will collect data, you can write it. Buying a ready-made synopsis is where the real risk sits. Copied proposals are treated as unfair means, and the same document circulating between students is exactly what evaluators catch. Use samples to learn the shape. Write the content yourself. Section 8. Quick answers to the questions students ask most. Is the synopsis really compulsory, or can I simply submit the report? It is compulsory. Wherever a project course exists, approval of the proposal is the gate to project work. And the approved proposal must later be bound inside the report itself. A report arriving without it is returned. And can 2 students share one synopsis? No. A project is individual work. Not more than 1 student is permitted to work on a project. How early should I submit the synopsis? As soon as you register for the project course. You want 8 to 9 months of clear runway before your submission deadline. And can I submit the synopsis in Hindi? Follow your program's medium rule. Many programs permit the medium of your registration, but confirm it in your own guidelines. What if my synopsis is rejected twice? Then the problem is almost always the topic or the objectives, not your writing. Narrow the topic, rebuild the objectives, and resubmit on the evaluator's comments. And can I change my topic after approval? Only by submitting a fresh proposal, which is treated as a completely new proposal, with a new proforma and a new approval weight. Let us lock the whole system in one recap. A synopsis is a proposal, not a summary. 3 documents travel together: proforma, synopsis, guides, biodata. 9 sections with objectives as the heart. Length is program-specific, so trust only your own guidelines. A guide signature is not approval. No project work before approval. And the approved title is locked. Your next steps are already on this channel. Watch our IGNOU project guidelines video for the official rulebook, the IGNOU project format video for page setup and chapter structure, the IGNOU project guide video to choose an eligible supervisor, the IGNOU project submission video for final submission and tracking, and our MBA and MCOM synopsis videos if you are in those programs. If this made the IGNOU synopsis clear, subscribe to Sri Chakradhar Education. We publish honest, research-backed IGNOU guidance. For personal help with your synopsis or project, message us on WhatsApp at 9354637830 or visit ignouproject.com. This is BK Sani, guiding IGNOU students since 2010. Get the synopsis right, and the project almost writes itself. All the best.